and welcome to the March 6th Board of Trustees meeting. Happy Women's History Month. Can we please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Present.
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 Present, and today we have a couple of appointments to the Planning and Zoning Board. So may I have a motion appointing Henry Suarez to the Planning Board to fill the unexpired term of Ray Nierenberg through April 1st, 2025, as well as a motion appointing Carlos Rodriguez to the Zoning Board as an ad hoc member through April 1st, 2023.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And Renee, I'm assuming you'll speak a little bit more about Ray. When you, yeah. Okay, and we do have two presentations today. We are excited to have our Eastchester Irish American Club come forward and talk about the parade on March 12th. And I apologize for not wearing my green, but I will have it on the day of.
That color works, Your Honor.
I hear.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and honorable trustees. My name is John Collins, and I have to tell you, you throw me a curveball here because usually I come here as just part of the PR committee for the Eastchester Irish American Social Club St. Patrick's Day Parade. But this year, I'm happy to announce that I'm here as one of the Grand Marshals for this year's parade.
All right.
Congratulations.
I must explain that I am wearing blue because blue is actually the official color of Ireland. Pat Murtaugh can defend my position if there's any doubt. But I did want to, because it's not often I get proclamations handed to me, but I am so grateful, and I wanted to take a moment to thank you, for honoring me and all the other Grand Marshals as well as the two honorees for this year's parade. So thank you very much for this.
You're welcome.
Really means a lot to
You're
me.
welcome.
Thank you. So let me speak briefly about this, because I know you have a lot of business to attend to. This club was actually organized in the village of Tuckahoe. The paperwork, whatever is involved with, I'll leave it to the lawyers to but they did file their paperwork here in Tuckahoe to start the Eastchester Irish American Social Club. And throughout our time, we've tried to promote Irish culture, not only in Eastchester, but of course in Tuckahoe as well as Bronxville. Now, more recently, with the brainchild of Tom Uvain and Jim Hendry, we got a parade going almost 20 years ago. This is our 17th year having the parade. We had a couple off years, basically due to COVID. But this year, trying to get things going, the powers that be, that would be currently the two chairmen, Brendan Lynch and Mike Denning, they thought it fitting to have all the past presidents be the Grand Marshals. So I'm actually a seventh, despite the girth, only the seventh, 1/7 of the Grand Marshal here tonight. The parade starts down at ICS and travels north up Main Street. For those who don't follow it, we have a green line by the Green Line sponsor, Jack's Restaurant, I believe in Tuckahoe or near the Tuckahoe Eastchester border. Sorry. Okay, sorry, I won't get into a territorial thing. But goes up Main Street meets Route 22 and continues north up to Lake Isle. We're going to have a bunch of bands. We have a lot of the civic organizations involved. We have a lot of the schools involved. And I just want to say that it's on March 12th, Sunday. And as always, fortunately I've never been held to this, we're going to have 70 degrees, sunny skies, no rain, snow, or anything else. And before I turn things over to the voice of the parade, which is Pat Murtaugh, I just want to say that this particular village has been so enthusiastic about this parade. I was talking with Camille DeSalvo just before we got started here. Camille, who also keeps me on my toes, but when I looked to see if the Tuckahoe trolley was going to be here, I was told, John, it's already done. Not only that, someone called me back to make sure I was here tonight. So the Village of Tuckahoe has been very enthusiastic about this parade, and I am so grateful for that enthusiasm. So before I turn things over, I just hope, Madam Mayor and all the honorable trustees, if you could all be there on Sunday the 12th.
We will be there
Thank you so much.
with bells on.
Without further ado, I turn things over to Pat Murtaugh.
Well,
Thank you.
And I'd just like to ask if you can just let residents know when it starts so that people know how to
Give me.
line up and all of that.
The parade starts promptly at 3 p.m. from ICS, and will travel north. I would guesstimate it runs approximately 2 to 3 hours, depending on traffic and Irish dancing, and it's
That's my kind of party.
it's a good time. Admission is free, by the way, so please everybody come out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Madam Mayor and the Board of Trustees. We appreciate you allowing us to do this every year. We did have a 2-year, like everywhere, the world had a 2-year sort of hiatus where we would be the 19th year, but this is our 17th annual parade. Those 2 years, we greatly missed the town and the village of Tuckahoe and everything that we bring to the town, the culture, the fun, the joy. We miss bringing that to everybody, and we're thrilled that this year we're able to do it again. And we're also thrilled that the club organizers, both of whom, by the way, lives in Tuckahoe, Brendan Lynch and Mr. Michael Denning. As you know, Denning's it's interesting. So the hotel that was built there is managed by Gary Byrne, a gentleman who's from Sligo, County Sligo in Ireland, and Mike Denning and Phil Denning, or Phil Denning, owns the building that's right next to it, which, you know, Mike never gives them any trouble, obviously, getting an extra coat of paint on the back of his building there. But there's a great connection, and has been, with Tuckahoe since the infancy. The Tony Colavita was the man who really pushed us to do this. But where did he push us to do it? When we had a small group in the ICS cafeteria in the basement. That's really where we started having our meetings when we were, 7,500. The club was dying. Larry Nangle, also a Tuckahoe native. Brenda Garrity, who lives in Tuckahoe as well, 4-time president, who's one of our Grand Marshals. But the spawned parade began in the basement of the ICS when we only had about 100 members and 40 or 50 or 60 children coming along with those 100 members, from a time when it was dying. And I moved to Eastchester in 1990, and I joined the club in about 93, 95, after we had our first child. And at that point, the membership was the average age of where we're at right now, myself and John, in the 60s. And it was great to breathe fresh life into it and bring it back. But it was also great that the town of Eastchester and the village of Tuckahoe embraced this parade and allowed us to have a beautiful mass. For those of you who go to church, unlike myself, there is a beautiful mass on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. where at the end of the mass it becomes very emotional for me, because both anthems for the country of my origin and the country that I now reside in and citizen of and love to death are played. It is followed by a beautiful Irish breakfast in the cafeteria again of ICS. So you can tell we're grounded in ICS and in everything Tuckahoe. And then we all go home, we get ready, and we come back and we form our parade also in ICS. And we step off in Tuckahoe. And Tuckahoe, as you know, has a great history with the Irish, as I see my gentleman friend here, the town historian, can attest to, where the marble that was quarried in Tuckahoe was quarried mainly by Irish and Italian immigrants. They may have had a few drinks together, they may have fought together, but now we make love together and we have a wonderful, wonderful time. So there's a real good, and we're all got tricolours. Their only difference is they got a dark red and we got a beautiful green. But we love our Italian brethren. We do golf outings with them. We really have a good time. But this is also more about the founding, the gentlemen who run the parade, Mike and Brendan, had a brilliant idea, and that was to honor as Grand Marshals 7 of our prior presidents. One being our current president, Brendan Garrity. Mr. Collins himself, otherwise, when he's not here, he's typically taking a groundhog out of the ground and telling us whether we're going to have bad weather or not, with that hat on. Mr. Steve Doherty, Tuckahoe, my wife, Margaret Murtagh, Liam Deegan, John Murtagh, and John Phelan. Those are our 7 Grand Marshals. So it's going to be a good time as we walk along. But in addition to that, we're also honoring 2 amazing ladies. I mean, as you can see, it takes a woman to run a good club, the same as you've run this town really, really well. And we have a multitude of them. The one thing I'll say about the men of Eastchester Irish is we were smart enough to realize that we couldn't run anything. And we handed it over to our wives, who organized the thing and gave us spreadsheets and told us, this is what you buy and that's where you buy it. And without them, and they did a lot more than that. Connie Cullen and Beth Schaefer, 2 amazing ladies who worked together as a tandem, and were part of organizing that event that was in the Lake Isle. It takes a tremendous amount of organization. 210 people there last night. Smaller news over as a Friday night, but typically we've over 400 people. And Connie and Beth are 2 ladies who always work tirelessly to make a beautiful night, as it was, by the way, on Friday night. I was the MC and also did the interviews. And one thing, the program was about family. And every one of these 7, we can honestly say that our children are family. It doesn't matter their name. They're once you join the Eastchester Irish American Social Club, you're embraced as family. And we've had happy times, we've had sad times, but all through it, all of these presidents and their families would come through for you no matter where you were. And that's what I love about this town. We had Frank McCluskey, who died many years ago, suddenly left 2 young children and his wife, and the club stepped in along with the local 608 and built the house that he had just started digging the foundations. And that was like, he started the foundations, we built the house. And that's like what happened with the Eastchester Irish Club. The foundations were strong, the house is strong, and we're not going to fall down ever. We are so looking forward to on March the 12th, and I'll wrap up here, starting off in ICS, having a beautiful mass followed by beautiful music and beautiful singing, and then marching proudly, as we always do, as members of Eastchester, Tuckahoe, Bronxville, up Route 22 to the Lake Isle at 3 p.m. on Sunday, and honouring our Irish 4 persons, and also continuing to introduce the culture of Ireland, the people of Ireland, and our music and everything else, and embracing everybody that we do. The one thing you'll find if you've ever visited Ireland is the warmth of the people. They really don't care. Since this issue has happened in Ukraine, we've brought in Ukrainian immigrants who are trying to get away from a terrible war. But prior to that, when Chernobyl happened, the Irish, a group of Irish people formed the Chernobyl Children's Fund. And since that incident happened, the people of Ireland have brought over every summer a couple of thousand children from Chernobyl to get them out of there. So we always embrace, we're always warm, we always welcome everybody, regardless of their race, creed, colour, religion, it doesn't matter. And that's one thing you'll find about the Irish. So when you come to the parade, you know you're in for warm, bloody warm time. You know you're in for a good time in Mickey's or Jack's afterwards, or the hotel down here. And we want everybody that's watching tonight and that lives in these wonderful villages and towns that we live in to please come out. As John says, the weather, as always, is going to be beautiful. And by the way, rain and mist is beautiful in Ireland, just so you know, because that's how we're so green. Very soft rain, that's right. So I will leave you with those parting words and just, thank you and thank Tuckahoe for everything they do for us, because we truly appreciate it. We always have. And I'll leave you with just a small thing. Why do Irish people wear shamrocks at St. Patrick's Day? For those of you who don't or do, anybody know why we wear shamrocks? Because real rocks are too heavy, of course. So on that sad note, it's time to sign off. And thank you very much, Miss.
Thank you.
Take care. Good night. We'll see
Thank
you.
you. Okay. So we do have another presentation from the Tuckahoe History Committee, Nick Zanzano.
Trustees. I think I have an interesting program tonight as part of the Tuckahoe History Committee Historic Outreach. We're going to do the Tuckahoe train station, and if we could start the program.
Okay.
Okay, we can go to the first slide. Okay, here's the first train station in Tuckahoe. First, let me start. The New York Central started in 1838. In 1844, the train reached Tuckahoe, and Tuckahoe spent an enormous amount on this station. There's our commuters. The building in the background was where the Duesenberry building was, and that's the Pugmire Hotel. The Depot Square was very tiny at this time. Next. In the 1850s, they built a little nicer train station. I like the ornate architecture around the building. Again, at this time, the railroad was at the grade level. Now, this building stood from, I'll say, early 1850s until 1900. Next. This is another view of the train station. This is looking north, and I threw it in. It's just another view. Next. On the right-hand side of the photo is the train station. The general store in the middle of the screen is where Oak Street eventually gets built. And to the left of that is the original police station was built at that time, and it was on that corner. Next. This photo is approximately 1901 in the Depot Square. The railroad at the grade level. Right in front of the train station, there's an article. That's a horse water trough. In the center of the screen, you could make out a horse and carriage by the telephone pole. Behind that was a railroad spur. And the railroad would drop off a couple of cars to make deliveries to merchants in the town. On the extreme left, you could see the sidewalk for the Duesenberry building, and the box that's on the sidewalk was a stepping stone where people would get out of their horse and carriage and step down to the sidewalk. Next. In 1910, we had our first electric train. Before that, the train was coal and steam driven. And again, in 1910, we had our first electric train. I love this photo. It shows the patriotism, something so awesome, an electric train. I don't think we had this much pageantry when we landed a man on the moon. But again, a real great vintage photo of Tuckahoe. Next. This is just another view of the train station right around the celebration in 1910. Next. In 1910 to 1911, the train tracks were lowered. The Depot Square was raised about 3 feet, and they raised the train station at this time. So the train station got raised, the Depot Square was raised about 3 feet, the railroad was lowered, and on the extreme right, you could see they started building the bridge over the railroad. Next photo. Here's the building of the bridge prior to the one that we have now. That's a temporary bridge over where they're putting the original bridge. This was just a temporary one that they would take off. On the extreme right is a series of buildings that were along Lake Avenue. And Lake Avenue, to take care of all the workers at Hodgman Rubber, they needed a place to stay. So there were boarding houses on Lake Avenue. Boarding houses, we even had the Lakeville Hotel. Next. And here's the train station. This is probably around 1940 by the looks at the back of the car on the right. But this is the way we know it now. And that's the story. I hope you found it interesting.
Very
It's,
interesting.
it's
Thank
pretty
you.
cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. So we have two public hearings today. The first public hearing, I'd like a motion to open the hearing to consider the recommendation by the Historic Preservation Commission to designate the Washington Hotel at 101 Main Street as a local landmark.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And I think we put up the document, David, on the website. So if you have not had a chance to take a look at the application for the landmarking, it's on our website. Where? Okay, so under the agenda. So if there's anyone that has any interest in weighing in on the designation of this site, you may come forward. Surprise, surprise.
I wasn't supposed to be here tonight, but my good friend Jeannie Steinhagen gave me a call about 4 o'clock to talk about the significance of the Washington Hotel. So forgive me, I do spend a lot of time preparing whenever I talk publicly, so I'm going to ramble and I'm trying to be short. I can't think of a more appropriate site than the Washington Hotel. Nick was just telling us about the train coming in 1844. That was the same year as the famine hit Ireland. 1 million of the 8 million people in Ireland needlessly perished during what they call the Great Hunger. 50,000 died on the voyage across. And the first famine Irish to live in Eastchester was Robert Bellew. Some of the old timers know Vince Bellew. That was his great-great-grandfather. Architecture is history frozen in time. And the Washington Hotel, which was built in 1883 by Samuel Fee, who was really a hero. Like Robert Bellew, he was a stonecutter, but he also represented the quarrymen. And the original famine Irish rose, as many groups did, from obscurity and discrimination, and within less than half a century, they had a dominant position in Eastchester politics, the church, and business and industry. And that's to their credit. But the history of America is really a history of groups moving in, facing problems, and what I really find fascinating, each group faces the same problems and handles it in a different way. And it's really nice, and I don't know if he's here tonight, but the owner of the Washington Hotel bought the hotel because it was his grandfather who worked up at Kensico Reservoir, and he was and lived in Tuckahoe, and that's why he bought the hotel. And he's been so cooperative with us in supporting the landmarking of the hotel. And last, I will close. I want to just. I'm going to go out of the agenda. I want to. Last Sunday, a week ago Sunday, I gave a important presentation for Black History Month. The Eastchester Public Library asked me to do it, and I want to thank some of the people here for attending. And it was very moving. I want to especially thank Police Chief Costanza. I asked him to talk about Henry Norman. Judge Fuller, who is not here tonight, gave a moving testimony because he was at Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream presentation in front of the Washington, the Lincoln Memorial, and also Ed Mariani, who I talked to on the phone, who talked about his fond reminiscences of growing up. Tuckahoe is a unique place. You know, my kids attended the Tuckahoe schools, and it's a place long before it was acceptable for people to be judged, as Martin Luther King said, not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I want to thank the people who came to that presentation, and it will even be better next year for Black History Month. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't talk too long, did I?
Nope, you were under 3 minutes. Thank you. I'm sure we have others who would like to weigh in. You may come forward. Sure.
I'm Frank Petronello, actually own that building. So I just wanted to thank the commission and everyone here, and to me, it's an honor, you know, because my heart is in that building, and I put a lot of effort into it, and I do appreciate this. It's exceptional, I think, on the part of Tuckahoe and the commission. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I just wanted to thank you all.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. You're welcome.
That's even shorter.
I hope, Mobley Billups, High Street. Hope I'll be even shorter, but I was so proud of the presentation on African American history in Eastchester last month. The room was packed, and I encouraged the fact that there were not enough people of my color there when it was something about our people. I encourage us to participate and ensure that our history is heard. Tuckahoe is, as you know, a center of diversity, which I love. But we have to, you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. And history is very, very important. And I'm asking the members, especially of my color, my community, to come and join in with the History Committee. Bring your stories. We need to know everything about everybody who makes up this beautiful village called Tuckahoe in the almost as beautiful town of Eastchester.
Okay. So if there's anyone that would like to weigh in on the landmarking designation.
Elaine Provenzano, 11 River Street. I want to first of all thank you so much for keeping that building in just impeccable condition all these years. It's just a beautiful, beautiful building. You could just tell your love of the building when you walk by it. And to see this hotel being recognized as a landmark is just a wonderful thing. So thanks to everyone for considering it. It's so important. These are all on the master plan. These are all important that they should be safeguarded for the future of Tuckahoe. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to weigh in during this public hearing? This is your opportunity to let the board know how you feel about the landmarking designation for the Washington Hotel. If there's no one else that's in person, anyone on Zoom, John? Who'd like to speak? Okay. Okay, so we're going to move on to the public hearing number 2. We will leave this public hearing open. The second public hearing to consider a proposed local law increasing the veteran property tax exemption. Our village administrator spoke about this last month a little bit, and if you can give a recap, David?
Actually, I don't think I did say anything last week. I was
Oh,
the audiovisual man.
that's right, yeah.
Last month. So basically, this local law just increases the exemption for the veterans. It mirrors, proposed, it would mirror what the town of Eastchester recently did, which New York State allowed villages and municipalities to do in their last budget cycle. So just as a quick example, qualifying residential real property exemptions would increase from 54,000 to 75,000. That means is that portion, that $75,000 would not be taxed. Same goes for, there's 3 different categories, so there's minor increases. So at the end of the day, what does it kind of mean for, other village taxpayers? It's about a $2 to $3 difference per parcel. Just so everyone knows, and if there are people out there that do have the exemption, Eastchester is going through a recertification process. They haven't done that in quite some time. Basically, they go through to see who has it, to see if they're still eligible. So if you are, if you do have it, look out for something from the town of Eastchester to kind of be recertified into the program.
So, thank you. May I have a motion to open the public hearing to consider this law?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And so we will hear from the public now. If anyone would like to weigh in on considering this local law to increase the property tax exemption for veterans. Anybody would like to weigh in favor of or opposed to? Now's your time. No one in person? Anyone on Zoom? No? Okay. So I think public hearing number 2, I will ask for a motion to close. May I have a motion to close public hearing number 2 to consider the law increasing the veteran property tax exemption?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Just so that I can just skip down to resolution number 1, I'm going to ask the board to give consent to leave the public hearing open. I want to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's, and this board has to be prudent in our decisions regarding all of the decisions that we're making, including designating properties. So I want to make sure that the paperwork that we received, I don't know if everyone got a chance to fully review, so I want to let the commission know I'd like to extend the public hearing for 1 more month. So can I have a motion to extend it?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so let's move on to the adoption of the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the February 6, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this is the first opportunity to address the board on any agenda items only. If there's anyone that would like to address the board on any agenda items, you may do so now. Anybody in person? Wow, quiet group today. Anyone on Zoom? Okay. So we'll move on to resolution number 3. And I'm asking for a motion to authorize the execution of an IMA with the City of Yonkers for our yard waste contract.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the same for authorizing the execution of an IMA with the County of Westchester for enhanced 911 service.
So move.
Second.
Everything okay? We didn't vote on number 2? No. Okay, sorry. So may I have a motion to authorize the local law for the increase in the property tax exemption for veterans? Sorry about
moved.
that.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And Gary, you can always just yell out, Mayor, you need to figure that out. Okay, and we did vote on number 4. Number 5, authorizing the support for the mayor to advocate on behalf of the village board to the governor relating to issues with the governor's proposed New York Housing Compact. Just to give everyone a brief summary, there's a proposal from the governor to increase affordable housing and to increase housing. And as everyone knows, we are in desperate need across the county for housing, and we've gotten many calls here where people are facing eviction or cannot find adequate housing. So this board is in favor of supporting the governor with regard to this initiative. There are some things in the housing compact that we would like to have revisited. Things like having zoning local laws remain in the control of the local municipalities. We would also want to ask for assistance if we have infrastructure issues that need to be dealt with. We need funding for that. So there are aspects of the compact, the housing compact, that we would like the governor to review and revisit, and to have, to work in concert with municipalities. So we have, I think the letter is posted that we are proposing to send, is it posted? The letter that we are proposing to send the governor is posted, but I want to make sure, and I think this board and anyone can weigh in, wants the residents to know that we are in favor of increasing housing because we know how desperately needed it is. So if there's anyone else on the board that would like to comment on that, you may do so.
I would.
Sure.
So this was something that I had to do quite a bit of soul searching, kind of in discussion. And while on many of these votes, we vote in agreement. It's wonderful. We have consensus. But I will tell you, during our work sessions, there are heated discussions kind of about these topics. And for me, it was really a matter of not kicking the can in terms of housing insecurity across Westchester. That I can't have kind of on my watch that we did not kind of do our best to do something. Big problems take big ideas and big solutions, but the mayor is absolutely correct that the kind of aspects kind of the proposal, taking away local control, not making the correct investments in infrastructure, would put Tuckahoe and other villages like Tuckahoe in a worse situation as opposed to a better. But please know, the village of Tuckahoe, that this is an issue that is very important kind of to me, and that one that, I won't rest or sleep easy, might be a better way to put it, knowing that there are too many that have housing insecurity and food insecurity kind of across our village and larger county.
And so I'd just like to add one other thing. We in the letter that we wrote to the governor, we do make some suggestions and suggested changes that we think would make the legislation much better, and so that it's not a cookie cutter sort of response to the need. The Westchester Municipal Officers Association there were several people who came together, including attorneys and housing specialists, to talk about what are the things that the governor could put in the plan that would make it so that it's better for all municipalities to be able to take part in some of this decision making. So this is not, we're against the governor's proposal for a greater housing. This is yes, and we need some changes to it.
Right. I would add, part of the problem is a sweeping proposal was made, and every municipality would have to react in the same way. And if you read the letter, it says, what's good for White Plains is probably not going to work for Tuckahoe, and a lot of other communities. Each community is different, so we were just asking for the ability to weigh in on what we need for our community. And of course, one very important process that we engage in as residents will be the master plan, and that is where we can explore and think about some things to address housing needs.
Okay. So having said that, anyone else? You're good? May I have a motion to authorize the letter to go to the governor's office?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, board. We'll move to resolution number 6, authorizing the approval of vouchers, and we have to pay bills in the amount of $364,632.95.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And we'll move on to departmental reports, and we'll start with our very own Chief Costanzo.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board.
Good evening.
Just a couple of quick announcements. One, I just want to comment, I know the mayor has had several inquiries about a news release issued by the U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Massachusetts, that made its way into some social media releases in our area. There was an arrest of a person who was indicted for firearms and narcotics trafficking in the Boston, Massachusetts area. He was arrested in Scarsdale this past week, and the Drug Enforcement Agency and the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms executed a search warrant at his apartment at 50 Columbus Avenue, the Tower Club, in which they found some making materials, several firearms, as well as other devices to manufacture weapons and ghost guns and parts to make semi-automatic handguns fully automatic. So that was executed at the Tower Club late last week. There was no part of the investigation that involved the Tuckahoe Police Department. There was no indication that any of those activities were happening as far as sale of guns or narcotics in our village at any time. Again, the search warrant was executed without any incident. The person was already in custody at that point, and there was no cause for alarm. So I know there may have been some rumors going around the village based on that news release, but I wanted to make everyone feel assured that there was nobody in harm's way at any time during this police action. The Drug Enforcement Agency did contact us at the time of the search warrant execution and notified us and did not require any assistance at that time.
Chief, can you just elaborate a little bit on just how these things typically happen, where the DEA doesn't necessarily contact local authorities and why?
Well, I mean, I believe this particular case was a sealed indictment, so obviously that information cannot be released in advance. So it's just a matter of keeping the integrity of the case so that they can, sometimes it involves confidential informants. Sometimes there are people at risk that, the word cannot get out well in advance. And this, I believe, is one of those cases.
Thanks, Chief.
Last month, the village board approved lowering the village-wide speed limit to 25 miles per hour. We have completed installing 25-mile-per-hour signs, probably in about 95% of the village. We're just waiting for some more signs to be fabricated. We are expecting those in the coming days, if not next week. And those last few signs will be installed, at which time we'll start a public relation campaign to get the word out to the public. So there is no enforcement at this time until we at least do the public relation and educational portion of that, as well as, of course, getting all the signs posted. And as was indicated last week, the only street not affected by the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit would be Route 22, which is a state road. It will remain at 30 miles per hour. And finally, I just want to say that the police annual report is out. It was issued today. It's on our website. We will be putting it out on social media either this evening or tomorrow morning, and as well as getting it out through email blast on Swift 911. So for everyone's reading pleasure, the 2022 report is out.
There are also some hard copies in Village Hall for those of you who aren't on social media and would like a paper copy. You can come in to Village Hall and request one.
Yes, and then finally, this Thursday coming up is the DARE graduation at the William E. Cottle School. Police Officer Evan Piasta is the DARE officer there, did a great job, and the culmination is this Thursday. It's an event we all look forward to.
Yes, trying to make sure it's on my calendar.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I think Frank is not here, so Elaine, would you give the report for the library?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that we had Love Your Library Month in February, and we had about 50 respondents either make a paper survey or online. And I just wanted to give you a few comments. What do you love about the Tuckahoe Library? So many levels of learning. When you walk into the library, it feels warm, it feels friendly, and staff is always very friendly and helpful. I feel like I can ask for any kind of help and I'll get it. I always need help with computer and phone, and I always get what I need. Very, very helpful and friendly atmosphere. I'll be joining more classes and participate. Thank you so much. It is a golden gem in our special village. Love the staff best in the county. Diversity of programs. The librarians, the book selection, the programs, and resources offered. So, thanks to you for all your support and for the community, too, that helps to make the library so very well loved in the community. So I just want to tell you a few of the special programs that are going on this month. We have, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, it's going to be later in the month, but in March, the Golding School of Irish Dance will be at the Tuckahoe Community Center, and that's on Monday, March 27th at 5 p.m., and all ages are welcome for that. We have a new program, Mahjong Club is starting tomorrow, actually, March 7th at 1 p.m., and also tomorrow night, we have with Harmeet Goindi, Financial Planning, Savings and Investments. That's Tuesday, March 7th at 6:30 p.m. Thursday, and I'm sure you've heard about this program from the New York Historical Society, the History of the Jewish Delicatessen. I'll have what she's having. That's an online program, Thursday, March 9th at 7 p.m. It's going to be awesome. On Wednesday, March 22nd, we have in-person staging, pricing, and buying your next place, March 22nd at 6:30. And then on Monday, March 27th at 6:30, we have estate planning with Judge David Fuller, and that's going to be in person. We also have, through the Community Fund, and a lot of our programs are funded with support from the Community Fund, has again given us funding for CPR and AED training. So that will be Saturday, March 25th from 1 to 5, ages 14 to adult. And we have another one that will be coming up in April. We have 15 slots. So I think it's about half full. So it's a wonderful program by Eastchester EMTs provide that. Our English as a second language classes are on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. We have our hybrid memoir writing on Thursday, March 9th at 1 p.m., and I facilitate that program. And just a few of the kids' programs, we have our ukulele basics, March 24th at 4:15. This week we have pre-K yoga at 11 a.m. on the 9th, and St. Patrick's cupcake decorating on March 14th at 4 p.m. That's a favorite from 4 to 10-year-olds. And then Dawny Do is coming back on March 16th at 2 p.m. And for our teens, we have and for teens and adults, we have our sewing programs are on March 6th and March 20th. We have Teen D&D on March 7th and on March 10th. And a special program that we have is an online teen job search tips, resumes, applications, and more on Thursday, March 16th at 7 p.m. Comic Studio with Miss Lisa, Monday, March 20th at 3:30. And making wildflower seed bombs for teens and adults on March 23rd at 3:30. Okay? And did you want me to mention the
Yes.
ribbon cutting as
Sure.
well? Okay, just got to get into another screen here. Sorry. So on Wednesday, March 22nd at 3 p.m., there'll be a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Old Stone Mill Complex Monument, which is on the corner of the Growlers parking lot, Lake and Main Street. The monument was funded by the Tuckahoe Beautification Association. The benches honoring Nobel Prize-winning scientists, Drs. Gertrude Elion and George Hitchings, were donated by the borough's Welcome Fund. The yellow brick used in the monument is from the original Stone Mill Complex smokestack, which was demolished in 2020. History was provided by the Tuckahoe History Committee, and we want to thank Frank DeMarco, Joe Tavalilla, and the DPW crew for a beautiful installation. So I hope that you can all join us with the mayor on the 22nd at 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Okay, Camille, do you have anything? David?
Just a couple of items. We are in March, so obviously the tentative budget is due the March 20th, and a lot of people are already excited about that. I don't know why. But that will be out, and then we'll have some subsequent budget meetings. So if anyone's interested in that, look for it that day or the day after. And just want to let everyone know, people are getting letters in regards to our amnesty program already. There's a lot of questions. Is this real? Is this?
true.
I don't recall getting that ticket, all that kind of stuff. So we are getting that in the court. The court's office is kind of getting those, but it is real. It is a program that's going on for March, April, and May. It's 50% off your total amount due, so it's a really good deal if you do have some of these parking tickets. So if you are getting that, there's a 1-800 number on the letter. There's a website to go to. You can pay for it directly online. But yes, it's real, and someone has to pay for the ticket at some point. So might as well get 50% off.
Thanks, David. Gary? Okay. Am I missing anybody? No. All right, so we'll move to the Board of Trustee member reports, and we'll start with Trustee Engelbert.
I am curious about what folks think is going to happen to them if they come in. Are we going to put them in like in the Tuckahoe
jail.
jail? That'd be kind of fun. No, not at all. Well, so I know the mayor has said before that other folks kind of get their things they got to cross off. I've got to cross off lots of things on my report today, which is great. So starting with the Tuckahoe History Committee, our own Nick Zanzano presented Turn of the Century Tuckahoe at the Tuckahoe Library on Wednesday, March 1st at 6 p.m. And it was attended by almost 30 people in person and online, which is wonderful. And the video will be available soon. So if you didn't make it, you can kind of watch it on demand as well. The committee is collaborating with Tuckahoe's own Vito Pinto and the veterans on the restoration of the World War II memorial in Depot Square, which we now know much more about after the presentation. Ongoing work, and this is really one of our most active committees. The digitization and indexing of archival documents of Mayor White continues with historian Liz Leckie and Mike Pinto. They're working on the new committee website, a meeting with the Westchester Historical Roundtable on the 7th, a meeting with the Korea War veteran Anthony Rabasco for a Facebook post. Lots of Facebook posts across January. There's 7 in January, 6 for Black History, 1 for President's Day. The top post was about the Johnson family, the first African-American family in Tuckahoe. It had a reach of 2,090 and about 2,600 post engagements, which is amazing if you know about these types of things. As always, if you have articles or photos that you want to share for digitization, please contact the Tuckahoe Archive at gmail.com. Wednesdays, 9:30 to 12, right here in Village Hall, and contact information is available on the Village website. Tuckahoe Community Center. So, as the mom of a 12-year-old boy who seems to grow faster, far faster than the grass on my lawn, there's a sports gear swap, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Wednesday this week, and then 8:30 to noon on Saturday. Swapping out that sports gear is not only good for your pocketbook, it's also good for the environment too, because how many hockey sticks and lacrosse mitts do we need? Elaine already talked about CPR training, but go ahead, save a life, sign up for this program March 25th from 1 to 5 if you're over 14 years old. And thank you to the Community Fund for their kind of ongoing and consistent support of everything that we do in Tuckahoe. I also want to send out our thoughts and prayers to our own Jeer, John Galuzzi, on the passing of his mother, Barbara Ann, who is also known as Boom Boom to her grandchildren, which is the absolute most dear thing ever. I can't imagine Tuckahoe without John, and I can't imagine the success of our community center without him. Certainly his family is a key part of who he is and his service to our community. So please keep him in your thoughts and send him kind of love and support during this difficult time. So the library, I want you all to know, if you missed it, but they actually made gnomes today in the library. Yes, gnomes were made with sewing machines in the Tuckahoe Library in honor of St. Patrick's Day. That's how our library roles, and they need your support. The Friends of the Tuckahoe Public Library, we have a major renovation kind of on the horizon. Every dollar is going to count, and doubly so in this time of inflation, although that seems to be kind of ebbing somewhat, but not all the way. So please make sure to go out and join or renew your membership. Once you all have done that, I'll stop nagging about it at every monthly meeting. But with that, Miss Renee, or Dr. Renee.
Thank you.
It's on to you.
Deputy
Thank you.
Mayor.
So, first, the appointments that the mayor made this evening for planning and zoning, I wanted to just first recognize Ray Nuremberg, who I think he started actually on the zoning board in 2002, and then he's been on the planning board since 2008. So an incredible amount of service. I don't know if any of you know him, but I mean, he was incredibly diligent in his efforts. I think Ray is somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 now. He's sharp as a tack, and I had the chance to have some coffee with him last week, which he gave me a typed copy of our original zoning laws and a typed copy of the 1990 master plan, which I will put in the archives over here. But he also is an infinitely interesting character. He's an electrical engineer by trade. When the electrical board sat in the village, he also had a license to, do electrical work in the village. So he's been in a lot of people's homes, and he would always bring that up during the planning meetings. But he also, he worked for a lot of really interesting companies. He worked in Morocco. He worked in Germany. And his family is a longtime Tuckahoe family. So I think he has a lot of interesting stories, and I think Kara's going to try to capture them maybe on the story program. So I wanted to really thank him for everything he's given to the community. In addition, stepping up to take his place will be Henry Suarez. Henry's been an ad hoc member of the zoning board and done really well. So, your reward for doing good work is more work. So he's stepping up as a full member now on the planning board. And we have Carlos Rodriguez, who is a very, inspirational young man who I had the chance to meet. And I think it's very exciting that somebody that young is willing to step in and try his hand at this position and give back to his community. So I really appreciate both of them doing that. So as far as what's going on for planning and zoning, again, pretty quiet. Planning board, which will meet March 21st at 7 p.m., has 2 site plans before it, both on Columbus Avenue, one for a personal trainer facility, one for a pizza shop. And I should probably remind everybody that, our zoning law and planning do not cover, what kind of mix of stores we get here in the village. And the work session for planning board will be tomorrow at 7 p.m. Our zoning board will meet on March 8th at 7:30. There are 3 return items and 1 new item with an area variance at 5 Circle Road to build a supportive wall above a garage. And their working meeting will be a half an hour prior to the official zoning meeting. So with that said, I have some news this evening. I wanted to let everyone know that I have submitted my resignation to the board, and I'll be stepping down at the end of the month. And I wanted to let people know why. There's not really any drama here. When, when I decided to run for a second term, I kind of had this in my head because I knew there would be a lot of changes in my personal life coming up. And as it turned out, there are a lot of changes in my professional life that came up, and I just really have some things I need to attend to in those 2 areas of my life. Another factor in my decision is the people that you see up here on the board with me are super smart and uber competent, and that is a nice time if you're going to step down to do so when you have such a strong board. So I'd like, if you indulge me a minute, to say some thank yous. First and foremost, I really want to thank all the employees of the village. You know, we have just incredible departments, incredible leadership with, you know, our police with John Costanzo, Frank DeMarco with DPW, Swadesh Pachnanda with our library, and of course our administrative staff, David Burke and everyone. You know, we've gone through a lot of change. Laws have changed. The state has pushed down, you know, new laws on us. We've had changes in funding. We've had, you know, a pandemic. Through all of that, all of the employees in this village and the leadership have been willing to reach out, work with the community, work with this board. We've also, I think, had a goal at the board to have us well connected at the county level, at the state level, and at the federal level with our elected officials. And again, everyone here in Tuckahoe has been more than willing to work to have those relationships. And I just want to really thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. In addition, you know, Jackie Ferretti, Camille, David, you know, anytime I would ask a question at the building department as well, Marianne McCann, they were always excellent about getting back to me, and I really appreciate that. As well as David's, you know, constantly explaining to me the civil service system, which I think I understand about 20% at this point, David, but
She's doing better than that.
I'm sure he'll not miss explaining that to me anymore. In addition, I wanted to thank all of the volunteers. You know, we would never be able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish without the volunteers and all the heads of our committees. Working closely with the folks on zoning planning and our sign and awning boards, I just want to thank all of those people who volunteer an incredible amount of time for such really important activity, you know, that preserves the shape and the look of our village. And to Gary Gertzen, again, who anytime I had a question, he was always very patient and willing to impart his wealth of knowledge on me, so thank you, Gary. And of course, you know, all of the other committees. What's been so exciting about being on this board is, you know, one of our goals, our collective goals, was to get people involved in local government and, you know, forming new committees, seeing people take on leadership roles. It's just been, you know, an amazing experience. So thank you for that. Of course, the members of this board have been just really an inspiration to work with. I've worked on many, many teams in my life, but this has to be definitely one of the best, despite the length of Trustee Engelbert's reports.
She was short today.
Yeah, she was short today. But really, what an incredibly smart group of people, a caring group of people. You know, I just couldn't have asked for a better team to work with. So thank you to all of you. And special thanks to our mayor. You know, I think I've said this before, really, we spend a lot of time talking over the past 4 years, and she has always been incredibly supportive and, you know, has made me a better person, and I thank her for that. And last but not least, of course, the residents who gave me this opportunity. This was certainly stepping out of my comfort zone. And I didn't even realize how much I loved my little science bubble until I stepped out of it. But learning here, interacting with residents has been probably the best part of the job. You know, this job allows me to get to know so many people that I don't think I would have, you know, our paths would have crossed in a normal day. And, you know, especially now thinking of, you know, I was here long enough to see people pass. And I think about people like Tom Logan and Cassie Savage, who, you know, just added an incredible richness to my life. And I wouldn't have met them had I not taken this position. So to all of the residents, I want you to keep demanding, you know, of your elected officials. Without that interaction, without you coming to board meetings, without you sending emails, without you calling in, you know, we would not be the best that we could be. I'd like to also, you know, just remind folks that, when you're considering elected officials, to try not to think too much about party line. You really want to get people into positions who can represent you and, execute and get the job done. Sometimes I'm amazed at how the idea of party lines has, it was recognized very early on by the founders of our government. They were always very concerned, and on the occasion of Washington's birthday, it's the custom of our Congress to read his farewell address. And one of the things he speaks about is he really had some questions about parties and if that was the best thing, and encouraged people to elect officials based on what they would do, on what their experience was, and what they could bring to the table. So I wanted to just encourage the village to keep, creating a high standard for elected officials. It's really probably the most important job we have as citizens. So with that, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Renee. So I think I'm going to break with protocol here a bit. If there's anybody on the board that would like to, I won't say bid Renee farewell, but just give her some words of encouragement and support.
Yes. Deputy Mayor Howe, first of all, thank you for your service to the village for the 4 years we was on the board. I obviously met you through the volunteering with the party and then becoming a trustee on this board. I consider you a good friend, you and your family. And I know you're stepping down because you have important things in your life that you have to take care of, and that should be the priority. But I'm glad that you're still around, and it's all good because I know where you live. So, in all seriously, thank you for everything that you've done for the village and the board.
Trustee Cronin.
I want to thank you, Deputy Mayor Howell, for your dedication and service to this board, the community, and our village. You have worked tirelessly to improve our quality of life and our sense of togetherness. Most of you know the work that Deputy Mayor Howell does on like the Tuckahoe Challenge, and as somebody who does big events, this is no small feat. It's really quite incredible, and she raises tens of thousands of dollars for us every year. But you may not know some of the work she does behind the scenes. She's worked with the building department and the zoning and the planning board to, and these are small quality of life things that really go a long way to improve our lives in the village. Deputy Mayor Howell, Dr. Howell, has a quick wit, a cutting sense of humor, and quite frankly, a more biting tongue. But she has been nothing but a pleasure to work with, and I can't think of a more thoughtful and generous person, generous with her time, her resources, her ideas, and her passion for this community, but her brain power too. And while we do not always agree on issues, I am so grateful for her perspectives, her insights, and her honesty, and that she's always willing to speak her mind and say exactly what she's thinking. And that is a pleasure to work with somebody that honest. What I love best about Renee is that she makes so many people want to volunteer and be a part of this community, to get out of their comfort zone. And become involved and believe crazy things like they can run for Tuckahoe Village trustee. We are better off for having had you serve here, and we are really appreciative of you. She loves the idea of us all being involved, everyone in this community. She wants you all to get involved, and so if you're going to honor her in any way, please go out and come out and volunteer for one of our many committees. We need you. This idea of being involved is really just the greatest testimony to our democracy, and so for all of that, we thank you so much for all of your service and work. Thank you.
Trustee Engelbert, with no tears.
Here, I'll try. Because I get to sit next to Renee month after month, and she's my neighbor. Renee, I'm a better person for having you as my friend. And our village is a better place for you having lived kind of in it. So thank you.
Oh. I will say that Deputy Mayor Renee Howell has been a pillar of this board. She has served, her competence, her courage, her compassion, has really made her such an invaluable part of this board that for those of you who've never worked with her, who don't know her, she's just super smart. And she says that I've made her a better person, but she's in fact made me a better person. She makes me think about things a little differently. She speaks her mind, and she's got convictions that she will not back down on. And those are the kind of leaders that you want in leadership on these boards. So Renee, we want to honor you with a small token. If we could all give her. We want to give you your flowers. We want to give you your flowers now. Tuckahoe. Tuckahoe is better because Renee's been on this board. And I can say that with confidence. If there's anyone else that would like to speak, any village employees or residents who are sitting here, I'll give you a 10-second time frame.
I won't take long. Renee, I've worked with you at the library with so many other endeavors and initiatives, and just want to thank you so much. Everything you put heart into everything, and we feel it. So thank you. God bless.
Awesome. So when you guys changed the elections till November, I didn't think you guys were actually allowed to leave until then. So maybe we should actually look at state law just to make sure, but we'll get into the nitty gritty. Renee, it's been a pleasure working with you, obviously. The last 4 years it's been really tremendous. And, we have gone through a lot in the last 4 years. I mean, just going through the pandemic and going through all that and having your kind of background as a doctor and kind of, even I remember getting my first vaccine shot and you talking me through it going, yes, you're going to hurt. That's exactly what, that's the feeling that you really need. So I really appreciate your leadership on the board and from all village staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Howell, I just wanted to say thank you for your service to the entire community, but your support to the Tuckahoe Police Department and to me personally. It's meant a lot over these years. I know that the difficult time of police reform and the aftermath of the George Floyd shooting, it was a difficult time for policing, and I always found your questions and your inquiries to be so insightful, and then your support, to win you over, and it was important to us, and I never felt that support ever wavered, so thank you.
Thank you.
Renee, as a citizen here in Tuckahoe, I'd like to thank you so much for serving and being with us and presenting high intellect, compassion, and decency. Wish you all the best. We'll miss you, but boy, we're really glad that you spent some time with us. Thank you.
Anthony Fiore, Dr. Renee. Thank you for everything you did for the village. Best of luck. And if you ever get bored, you always come back and volunteer on the board. Hey.
She doesn't know what board is.
Renee, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me, and working with you has been amazing. And I've gotten to meet your family. You're amazing people. With your daughter being up at West Point, it's just incredible people. I'm just honored to know you, and it won't end here, though.
So on that note, that is very true. Renee has agreed to remain on in some capacity, so she will lead the Comprehensive Plan Committee, or AKA the Master Plan Committee. So she has agreed to stay on and take us through that process, which will not be a short process. So you will see some more of Dr. Renee Howell. Thank you, Renee. So we will continue with our trustee reports. Trustee Taylor.
Okay. The East Chester Community Action Partnership is having another special seniors food distribution. It will be Wednesday, March 15th at 12 noon. and you must be 60 years and older to qualify. This is an extra food distribution, not just the normal one that they have every month. Yep.
I just want to highlight that for those of you who may not be aware, because you may not receive SNAP benefits, they were increased during COVID, and now they've been reduced again. And so food insecurity remains a problem for a lot of people. And so I'm really grateful to ECAP that they stay on top of making sure that they provide the nutritious food for residents, not just in Tuckahoe, but in the neighboring communities.
Okay. Are you or someone you know in need of employment training services? If so, please call Denise at 914-337-7768. And the ECAP Monthly Nutrition Workshop will be starting on April 14th at 1:30 p.m. The Veterans Advisory Council for Senator Shelley Mayer is meeting on Wednesday, March 8th via Zoom. Veterans and service providers are welcome. Please see Senator Mayer's website, which is nysenate.gov, to register. Westchester Community College and the Bronx VA will be hosting a PAC Act event on March 22nd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Westchester Community College Valhalla campus. All veterans from all eras are welcome to meet with the VA claims agent, and no registration is required. The Eastchester Tuckahoe Veterans Ceremony Parade Committee invite you to become a ceremony sponsor for the special programs to honor the 70th anniversary of the armistice of the Korean War. The deadline for your sponsorship is May 10th. You can make checks payable to the Veterans Ceremony Parade Committee and mail them to VW Post 2285, 433 White Plains Road, Eastchester, New York, 10709. And all sponsors will be prominently recognized at the commemorative program. The Indoor Memorial Tribute Program will be on Thursday, May 18th. It starts at 7 p.m., but the doors will open up at 6:30, and this is at the Eastchester High School Auditorium. And the Memorial Day Parade will be Monday, May 29th at 10:30 a.m. They will muster at Eastchester Library parking lot at 11 a.m. It will kick off down White Plains Road and ending at the General Russell Pope Plaza for the presentation. I would just like to give my condolences to retired Detective Henry Bellis and the Bellis family on the passing of his wife Barbara. Also to John Galuzzi and the Galuzzi family on the passing of his mother. I would like to congratulate the Tuckahoe girls varsity basketball team who won their second Section 1 championship. I believe this is 2 years in a row. And also congratulations also to the boys varsity team. They did not win a championship, but they were runner-ups. They lost the final game, but they also had a great season this year.
That's it. Oh, thank you, Trustee Taylor. Trustee Cronin.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. So the Beautification Committee is launching their annual appeal. You should be getting an appeal letter in the mail in the next week or so. So just know that they are trying to raise $30,000, and they are the heart and soul behind all of the beautification that goes on in this village. So a lot of that is implemented by our wonderful DPW that works in tandem with them. But they raise the money for the wreaths and the plantings and the hanging baskets. So please, if it isn't in your usual modus operandi to go and donate to the beautification committee. Maybe this is the year. Plantings, everything has gotten a lot more expensive, so they could really use your help. So you'll get those in the mail probably in the next week or so. So be on the lookout for that. You can now donate online, so you don't have to write a check. You can check out their Instagram and Facebook pages, or my Instagram and Facebook pages, and there are plenty of ways to donate. So you have no excuses. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of a longtime Tuckahoe resident, Giuseppe Gianelli. Mr. Gianelli came here from Bari, Italy, and started a landscaping business. He moved here with his whole family, and his family has been they've been longtime members of the Tuckahoe community, and we send our condolences on his passing. So for the seniors, our seniors, the Tuckahoe seniors, are doing their annual St. Patrick's Day luncheon at J.C. Fogarty's in Bronxville on March 16th. So if you're interested and you're a member of the seniors and you'd like to go, you need to pay Lisa Jones by the 9th. From the Westchester Department of Senior Services, there's some really great programs that I just wanted everybody to know about. Some of them are open to everybody. The Westchester County Office for Workforce Development is offering free tax prep for seniors and lower income residents. So if you're interested in that, you can, and that's through April 18th. You can call 211 to get information about those services. There's 6 locations throughout the county that you can go to and get your taxes done for free. Senior Law Day, which is, they have several senior law days over the course of the year, but this one offers one-on-one consultations for people who have questions about planning, estate planning, or other legal issues that impact seniors and their long-term care. The next one is this Thursday, March 16th from 10 to noon, and you can get more information at seniorlawday.info. You can also reach out to me if you are not on the comfortable on the computer. The state is offering a program which they offer every year called the Home Energy Assistance Program. We all know, we're fully aware that the cost of energy to heat and light our homes has gotten very expensive, and for those of us that are on limited income, it can be really taxing on your overall budget. And so the state is offering assistance up to $3,000 this winter for energy assistance, and you can reach out to the Westchester County Department of Social Services for help in filling out that paperwork. So that is for any senior or people who have lower income. That's it. I just wanted to take a moment to also congratulate the Tuckahoe boys and girls basketball teams on their excellent seasons. Thank you.
Congratulations to them. I also want to acknowledge everyone who's mentioned the passing of residents. I think that we did not mention Stephanie Palmer's partner, Derek Scholes, who was a long-time member, a resident in Tuckahoe, who passed away, and we attended, a few board members and I attended the service, which was really a beautiful testament to his love of community. The stories that were told at the memorial and at the service were really indicative of who he was as a person, so I was really felt honored to be there. So, and my condolences obviously go out to our very own John Galuzzi on the passing of his mom. I know he's, was there for her for a long time while she was sick, and so our hearts, prayers, and thoughts go out to the Galuzzi family, as well as the Bellis and the Giuseppe family. I also want to thank the Federal Air Marshal Service, who came to Tuckahoe to have a job fair. There were several people who applied. There were a lot of young people who came forward, and I was heartened by the fact that there were so many young people, 18, 19, and 20 years old, that applied to the Air Marshal Service, and they were turned away because they have to be 21 years or older. I appreciated the fact that the gentleman who came to the job fair to hold the job fair didn't let those young people leave without saying, give us your information. We're going to come back, and you're going to be able to apply when it's time, and we're going to support you, and we're going to mentor you. So I wanted to say thank you to those representatives that came, and as well as to the hotel, who no matter whenever we ask them for support, we need a space, we need donations, we need assistance at ECAP, and they always say yes. So thank you to the Spring Hill Suites and their manager, Gary Byrne, who always says yes whenever Tuckahoe needs them. I want to congratulate our very own trustee Nicole Engelbert, who is also VP at Oracle, pretty impressive, for being named a top 100 influencer in higher ed technology by EdTech Digest. I'm sure she's pretty hot stuff. So if you didn't know how this board is just, I mean, these are rock stars here. Now you know. We have our VP at Oracle, we have our scientist at Siemens, we have our ex-law enforcement who's retired, kind of, and we have our professor, Dr. Kara Cronin. So this is who your board is, that's representing you, that's working for you, and I really hope that the residents truly appreciate the work and the effort that this board puts forth. We have some real rock stars. And just to mention, it is Women's History Month, and we have all of these women on the board. To our matriarch's point, whenever she has a moment to let everyone know, all these women on the board. So thank you, and congratulations, Nicole. We're very proud of you for that. Is there anything else? I also want to thank Ray from the Planning Board for his decades of service. I mean, it is really hard to find people who are committed even for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. But for the amount of time that he has given, and at 90 years old was still willing to give, we had to give him the okay to move forward. Because he cares so much about his community that he didn't want to leave us high and dry. So to Ray, who couldn't be here with us, we thank you. We honor you for your service. And we just appreciate you. And I also want to thank the residents and the staff and volunteers for the birthday wishes. I got birthday cards, and we had cake and cupcakes at Village Hall. I appreciate the birthday wishes, the emails, and the cards that I received very much. And on that note, we have the second opportunity to address the board on any agenda items on or off the agenda.
Sal Provenzano, 11 River Street. I'm the president of the Friends of the Ward House. First of all, Deputy Mayor Howell, you've done a great job, but most importantly, you're a great person. So that just shows. So thank you. Also, Dr. Frank, I want to thank you for supporting the Washington Hotel as a landmark. You're a hero to me. That you've taken a landmark and you've embraced it. Thank you. So there's a couple of items I wanted to talk about where the Friends of the Ward House are going to be front and center. First is the parade on the 12th. Friends of the Ward House is going to be marching in the parade, and as it turns out, the Ward House has a lot of Irish history that's connected with it. Marble was discovered on Ward property, and as Mr. Murtaugh had said, some of the first quarrymen were Irish immigrants that came in. In 1850, the first Catholic Mass in Eastchester was celebrated at the Ward House. 3 years later, the parish of the Immaculate Conception was created. But that first Mass was right there, right at the Ward House. Some of the details on the parade, we're going to be meeting at the Immaculate Conception parking lot at about 2:45. Anybody that wants to march, the first 10 will get this beautiful T-shirt. So in my, was it Irish blue? I didn't realize that blue was the color of Ireland, although I feel like I'm looking at the Irish flag right here. So, and again, this is your opportunity. Please come march with us, and we'd love to see you there. That same week, on the 16th of March, we're going to have the second annual event that we had started last year. Friends of the Ward House is sponsoring the commemoration of the 246th anniversary of the heroic acts of Revolutionary War hero Samuel Crawford. Samuel Crawford's monument is right at the top of Winter Hill Road in 22, across from the Ward House. On March 16, 1777, Captain Crawford was assassinated. He was bayoneted right then and there. He was mortally wounded. And I guess on his way to the prison ship that they were bringing him to, he died en route. And who knows, no one knows where he was buried or whether he was just thrown in the water. So the reality is that area right up there is that's his resting place, because that's where his memorial is. So what's happening is that the veterans of foreign wars post-2285, of which Josh is right back here, he's a member. We're going to lay the wreath right at that Crawford monument. Spectators may park on Winter Hill Road or on the side streets. You can't park in the Immaculate Conception parking lot because school is on that day. But last year we had a great showing. Mayor Andino was there last year, I believe Supervisor Calavita. There were a bunch of people from Bronxville, Eastchester, and Tuckahoe there. And you know, the reality is that this is something that that we can teach our children. The fact that before there were any veteran benefits or anything, Samuel Crawford gave his life when there wasn't even a country to give the life for. So I think that the least we can do is to go up there and just to show him we haven't forgotten him. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to address the board?
Madam Mayor, trustees, Josh Getchie on 120 Bella Vista. Dr. Howell, real quick, I wasn't coming up for this, but I just want to say to make sure that you're aware of the positive influences that you've given to so many of us. So thank you for that. Another positive influencer is our very own Mayor Andino. And if you have not gotten your copy of Black Westchester Celebrates Black Women of Westchester, our own mayor is on the cover. So I'm hoarding copies, so I'm going to be selling them at twice the cover rate. But reach out and get it. Our mayor's there, and you'll recognize a lot of other folks in here too. So get the copy.
Thanks, Josh.
All right.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? So I mean, there might be some question marks on people's minds, so I'll just tell you how this is going to work. Deputy Mayor Howell, her term would have ended in March, but because the election was extended to November, or was moved to November, the board did not move the election. I just want to make sure that that's clear. The residents voted to move the election, so that was your choice. Because the deputy mayor has stepped down, her term would have ended in November, so I am then charged with appointing someone to complete her term. So I will be making that appointment in April, and if you are interested in knowing who that person is, then this place should be packed out in April. Can't tell you now, right? So just wanted to inform the residents, just in case you weren't sure what happens now. If there's anyone else has anything else to address the board on, if we do not, anyone on Zoom? So we are going to go to, oh, sorry.
Hi, it's Ed Conway from 8 Winslow Circle.
Hi, Ed.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks.
First of all, I want to thank Deputy Mayor Howell also for every issue that, the few issues that I brought up, you've always listened carefully and have been very supportive, so appreciate that. And all the best in the future.
Thank you.
Also, I'd just like to thank the board for being proactive in addressing Governor Hochul's housing compact. I agree with it. It's laudable goals, and we just have to do it the right way. So appreciate that. And also was I've seen, I think, with State Senator Shelley Mayer had been supportive and issued statements in other communities of her views on the compact, and would it be helpful to get Senator Mayer as well as maybe Assemblywoman Paulin to be supportive
Yes, and they are. So we have had discussions with them as well. So they are in communication with the governor.
Great. No, so just want to thank you very much for being proactive and appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so now the board needs to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue. So we will adjourn the meeting and go into that session, right? So have a good night, Tuckahoe, and we will see you on April 10th when the next village board meeting will be held at 7 p.m. If you want to know who's going to fill these big shoes of Dr. Howell, show up April 10th, 7 p.m. Have a good night.
Good night.